Hey folks, so I thought I would do a little video about what it's like to work with a blog post in Gutenberg. Gutenberg is the code name for the new editor that was released with version 5.0 of WordPress back on December 6th, I believe it was, somewhere around there. So it's a different editing experience, and it has definitely confused a lot of people. There are a lot of people that are not fans. But I have found it to be pretty easy to use, pretty straightforward, and I just kind of wanted to show you what it's like. So I have this draft blog post here, and I'm going to open it in Gutenberg so you can see what it looks like. So the whole point with Gutenberg, it's also called the block editor, that's what it's referred to now when you're in WordPress, is that everything in it is a block, right? So each paragraph, as you'll see by the outline, is its own block. Like this. If we added images, they would also be a block. Everything is a block. It allows you to kind of move things around. You can put things in columns, do some layout options with the blocks. It's kind of pretty cool. But we're just going to look at here from the top. So again, this is what it looks like from the back end. First thing I want to show you is your title up here. You have this little eyeball, and you can choose whether or not to show the content title on when the page is live. This I think is pretty cool because there's lots of times when usually on a home page or maybe an event landing page or whatever, you don't necessarily want the page title to be showing, and so you might save it without a page title, but then when you look at it on your page or your post list, it just says no title, and if you've got several of those, it can be kind of confusing to know which one you're actually in. So by just turning off the title, you can have a title for your page or your post, but not make it show on the front end, which makes it way easier, right? So there's that. So we're going to leave that on. And then, like I said, each paragraph is a block. So if I was here and let's say I wanted to make this note, this part that starts with note, and a new paragraph. So this is all in one block now. I can just go ahead and hit return, and it's actually made it its own separate block. So now I can do different stuff with that. One of the other things that I think is great, so when you're typing and you want to, I have these section headers here that I want to change into headers. So when I've got my mouse over it, if I go up to that little paragraph picture, I can change it to a heading, and it allows me to select which size of heading, which level of heading I want it to be. I can also over here on the right side, on the sidebar, choose whether or not maybe I want to have that heading centered. There are different levels here, but for good SEO purposes, you want to make sure that your levels are in order. So H2s after H1s, H3s after H2s, that kind of thing. So same thing here. I want to make this a heading. We're going to go ahead and say H2. I can center it with that. This one is also a heading, really easy to do, so that when I'm typing, I can just focus on writing the post, and then I can come back and style it later, and it's not going to be crazy. So I can even center it there and then go ahead. Oh, that uncentered it. So now I got to make it the heading first and then center it. So we're going to go ahead and center make all of my headings. And then I can go ahead and center them. Fantastic. So now there's some other things that you can do within the blocks that are kind of fun. Let's see if I have, where's my note? Let's see, let's go back to this note here. I want to have this note, I want to have the note itself to stand out. So over on my block here, I went to color settings, and I'm going to add a background color. You can put in a specific hex code or RGB code, HSL. You've got lots of options there. Let's say I want to make it pink, and then I want to make my text color obviously not pink so that it stands out some more. So I can change that, and that's going to allow it to stand out a lot on the page, right? So people will obviously take note of that. The other neat thing that's over here is now I'm getting a warning that this color combination could be hard for people to read, that as far as accessibility is concerned, there's not enough contrast between the colors. So maybe I want to take my background color, make it a little bit darker. Okay, so now that warning has gone away. That warning that I had down here went away. So this is a good contrast. So that's I just cleared that out. Now it's white text on it, and now that's really hard to read. So maybe if we just had this light gray, and then I'm going to make the text back to the regular black. So just that it's got a light gray background that'll stand out. So that's pretty cool. You can also bump up the font size in this section if you wanted to, or bump it down to small. You can also add a drop cap. So this is going to make that first capital letter in the paragraph really big. It's kind of an artistic-y format that you can do to it, so that's pretty cool. And it looks like over here we can set a specific, so rather than just using the normal, medium, large, you can set a specific pixel size that you want the font to be. So that's pretty neat. And that's under color settings. Let's take a look under advanced, so we can add a CSS class just to this block, which is helpful. And then we have our usual things. So we can center, bold, we can add links, make some text strike through. There's some more options here, so we could duplicate it. If this is a block that we want to use very often, we can add it to the reusable blocks. So playing with that idea, let's say I have a call to action, and I do actually. Let's see, so we have this, how fast is your website? And I'm going to make that a header. We're going to center that. So now I have some code on a different page. I'm going to go grab, I'll be right back. Okay, so I have this web form that will do a speed optimization test. So I wanted to go grab that. So in here I want to add a block, and you see I got that plus sign because what I want to add is some custom HTML. So now I can add in my HTML. I can switch it to preview so it'll show me what it'll look like, which is kind of cool. I can jump back to the HTML and make some changes. We're going to leave it the preview for purposes of this. I like the way all of this works. Now I'm going to come over here and I'm going to say we're going to add this to my reusable blocks, and I'm going to call this my PSL form. So now anytime I make a page with the block editor, I can grab this PSL form instead of having to recreate it each time. Super cool. So I'm going to do that. Now let's go ahead and save the draft and then take a look at what it looks like on the front end. So we've got our blog post here. Fantastic. I added these are all the things that I added as the H2s and then centered. There's our note that we made a different background so that it stands out. That's kind of cool. And then here's my block. Now this is actually the way the form is supposed to show up, so I'm totally okay with it not looking like it did back here, because this is how it's intended to show up. So this is cool. So now I can add this, but this looks maybe a little funny. Maybe I want to add something next to it. So what I can do is So we're going to go to our row here, and I'm going to do the add block, and then we're going to go to layout elements, and I'm going to go to columns, and so now I've got two columns here side by side. I'm just going to drag that block down here onto the right hand column, and then I can take my text that I have over here, and we're going to drop that in here. So by default it makes this these all paragraph blocks. I can change them to different blocks if I want. So now I've got that, and Excellent. So now I'm going to save again. So we've got my 2 columns side by side now. And when I saved it, it's updating this preview over here. So now if we go look at my blocks down here, they're side by side and they're saved. So I can add that 2 column thing that before Gutenberg and before the block editor, you would have had to add another plugin or write some text, write some code in the text side of the editor screen, or use a page builder plugin. Like, you would have had to do all kinds of different stuff to do it, but now you can just natively do it as part of the WordPress editor. So that's my quick little demo of what you can do with Gutenberg. I hope you'll give it a chance. It is part of WordPress 5.0, so you don't have to do anything. If you've already updated your site to 5.0 or higher, you don't have to do anything special to get the block editor. If you decide the block editor isn't for you, or you're just not sure that you want to be forced to use it yet, you do have an option. There's a plugin called the Classic Editor. And it's this one right here, but it's in the repo. So if you just go to Add New and search for Classic Editor, you will find it. And it allows you to have the old editor style that you're used to, with a tiny MCE that we've all been used to for years. Automatic is going to maintain the Classic Editor plugin, they say, through 2021, so it'll be around for a while, but I do wholly encourage you to try using Gutenberg, try to get used to it. It's not that hard. It's different, and that's the biggest thing. It's different than what we're used to, but I find it to be super helpful and not that hard to get used to. If you have questions or comments, please let me know. Feel free to go ahead and subscribe so that you can get updates when I put out new tips. I'd love to hear from you. And if you're not sure if you want to update and you want to see if your website can handle the changes to 5.0, get in touch with me and I can help you figure that out. Thanks for watching. Take care.